All right, guys. Wednesday. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday at a sad part of our story. This is where his mother had died. Remember, he's just 3 years old. He'd been battered around all night in the sea, and now his mother passes away at the hands of the sea, and, well, he escaped it, but yet here's this deep, hidden fear of the sea. Sometimes now, remember the time grape, sometimes now, in the hush of the night, when the moon was full and its light lay in silver bands across the Pandanus mats, and all the village was asleep, Mufatu awoke and sat upright. The sea muttered its eternal threat to the reef. The sea and a terrible trembling seized the boy's limbs, while a cold sweat broke out of his forehead. Mufatu seemed to see again the faces of the fishermen who had found the dead mother and her whimpering child. These pictures still colored his dreams, and so it was that he shuddered when the mighty seas gathered far out, hurled themselves at the barrier reef of Haikura, and the whole island quivered under the assault. And so he's talking about when the waves from deep in the sea came up the shore and bashed onto the land, he always quivered with fear because these were the same waves that took him and his mother by their boat out into the deep waters. Perhaps that was the beginning of it. Mufatu, the boy who had been christened Stoutheart, that means it was the name they were given by his proud father, was afraid of the sea. What manner of fisherman would he grow up to be? How would he ever lead the men in battle against warriors of other islands? Mufatu's father heard the whispers, and the men grew silent and grim. His dad is silent, meaning it's really hurting his dad that his son's so afraid and the people are talking about it. The older people were not unkind to the boy, for they believed that it was all the fault of the Tupupo, the ghost spirit who possessed each child at birth. But the girls laughed at him, and the boys failed to include him in their games. And the voice of the reef seemed pitched for his ears alone. It seemed to say, "You cheated me once, Mufatu, but someday I will claim you." Meaning the ocean is talking to him, or at least that's what he thinks is happening, that the ocean will take him and drown him. Mufatu's stepmother, so the dad remarried, knew small sympathy for him, and his stepbrothers treated him with open scorn, which means his stepbrothers were not nice at all. Listen, they would mock. Moana, the sea god, thunders on the reef. He is angry with all of us because Mufatu is afraid. The boy learned to turn these jibes aside, but his father's silence shamed him. He tried with all his might to overcome his terror of the sea. Sometimes, steeling himself against it, he went with Tabane Nuai and his stepbrothers, now that's the dad, and his stepbrothers out beyond the barrier reef to fish, out there where the glassy swells and the ocean lifted and dropped the small canoe. Pictures crowded into the boy's mind, setting his scalp a-tingle. Pictures of himself, a baby clinging to his mother's back, sharks cruising, and so overcame. So this is a flashback now. And so overcame would he be at the remembrance of that time that he would drop his spear overboard, or let the line go slack at the wrong moment and lose the fish. So all of these men are fishermen, and they're trying to catch fish to keep their tribe alive, and he would be scared of the ocean, so he'd be thinking back to when he was a kid, and he dropped his spear in the ocean, or he didn't keep his line tight to bring the fish in. It was obvious to everyone that Mufatu was useless upon the sea. He would never earn his proper place in the tribe. Stout heart, how bitter the name must taste upon his father's lips. And that's where we'll stop today. We'll try to pick it up again tomorrow.